Admiral Kyomin stood on the bridge of the Imperial Command Station, watching the stars through the massive viewing windows. The station orbited SciFiPrime, the capital world of the Galactic Empire. For 30 years he had served the Empire faithfully. He had seen many battles and conquered many worlds. Today felt like any other day. The morning reports showed nothing unusual. Trade ships moved between the inner worlds. Military patrols followed their regular routes. Everything was peaceful and orderly, just as the Empire liked it. Kyomin sipped his morning drink and reviewed the daily briefings. The Empire controlled over 10,000 star systems. Their technology was the best in the galaxy. Their military was unbeatable. No enemy had challenged them for over 200 years. Admiral, called Tactical Officer Heywan from her station. She was young but brilliant. The Academy had called her the best student they had seen in decades. "I'm getting a strange reading on the long-range sensors." Kyomin walked over to her station. The display showed the usual pattern of ships and space debris around the capital system. Nothing looked wrong to him. "What kind of reading?" he asked. Heywan frowned at her screen. "Something just appeared in Sector 7. No warning, no energy buildup, no hyperdrive signature. It just exists where nothing was a moment ago." This was impossible. Ships could not appear from nowhere. They needed hyperdrive engines to jump between star systems. The process always created energy signatures that sensors could detect long before the ship arrived. "Run a full diagnostic on the sensors," Kyomin ordered. "Check for equipment failure." Heywan's fingers moved quickly over her controls. "All systems are working perfectly, sir. The object is definitely there. Distance 40 million kilometers. It's moving toward the capital world." Kyomin felt a cold chill run down his spine. In 30 years of service, he had never seen anything like this. He walked to the communications station where Jiho sat monitoring all transmissions in the system. "Jiho, are you picking up any signals from Sector 7? Jiho shook his head. "Nothing, sir. Complete radio silence. But I can confirm there's definitely something out there. It's big." Kyomin returned to Haiwan Station. "How big?" "Approximately 800 meters long. The shape is unusual. It's not like any ship in our database. The hull appears to be made of some unknown material. Our sensors can't get a clear reading on its composition." The Admiral felt his heart rate increase. Unknown ships did not simply appear in the heart of the Empire's most secure system. This was either a massive system failure or something far more dangerous. "Alert all patrol ships in the system," he commanded. "I want 3 battle groups moving to intercept immediately, and send a priority message to Fleet Command. Tell them we have an unidentified vessel of unknown origin approaching the capital." The bridge became busy with activity. Officers sent messages and gave orders. On the main display, red dots began moving toward the mysterious ship. These were Imperial cruisers, each one capable of destroying a small fleet. Heywan continued studying her readings. "Admiral, the energy patterns are unlike anything I've ever seen. The hull seems to be absorbing our sensor beams instead of reflecting them. It's almost like the ship is designed to be invisible to our technology." "That's impossible," Kyomin said. "No known species has technology that advanced." "Sir," Jiho called out, "I'm trying standard first contact protocols. All frequencies, all languages in our database. The ship isn't responding." Kyomin watched the display as the unknown vessel continued its steady approach toward SciFiPrime. Its movement was precise and deliberate. It showed no signs of changing course or slowing down. "What's its current speed?" "0.7 light speed and accelerating," Haiwan reported. "At this rate, it will reach the capital world in 6 hours. 6 hours. Not much time to figure out what they were dealing with. Kyomin had fought pirates, rebels, and alien raiders. But this was different. This ship appeared to be completely beyond Imperial understanding. "Admiral," came a voice from behind him. It was Captain Binwu, the station's security chief. "Fleet Command is ordering us to prepare for possible evacuation of the capital world. They're also sending the first battle fleet to assist." The first battle fleet was the Empire's most powerful military force. It consisted of over 300 ships, including the massive dreadnought that served as the Emperor's personal vessel. If they were sending the first fleet, the High Command was taking this threat very seriously. "Any word from intelligence about what this could be?" Kyomin asked. "Nothing, sir. They've never seen anything like it. The ship design doesn't match any known species. The technology appears to be completely foreign to anything in our records." Heywan suddenly looked up from her station. "Admiral, the ship is changing course. It's heading directly for our position. On the main display, the red dot representing the unknown vessel had indeed altered its path. Instead of continuing toward the planet, it was now aimed straight at the command station. Time to intercept? 47 minutes at current speed. Kyomin felt sweat forming on his forehead. The unknown ship was now heading directly for them. Was this an attack, a test, or something else entirely? All hands, battle stations, he announced over the ship's communication system. This is not a drill. Prepare for possible hostile contact. Alarms began sounding throughout the station. Thousands of crew members rushed to their positions. Weapon systems came online. Shield generators reached full power. Jiho tried again to contact the approaching vessel. Unknown ship, this is Imperial Command Station Alpha. You are entering restricted space without authorization. Please identify yourself and state your intentions. Silence. The bridge crew watched their screens as the mysterious ship grew larger on their sensors. Its design was unlike anything they had ever seen. Smooth curves mixed with sharp angles. The hull seemed to shift and change as they watched, making it difficult to focus on. Admiral, Haiwan said quietly, I don't think this ship is from our galaxy. Kyomin stared at the approaching vessel. In a few minutes, they would have their first close look at whatever had appeared in their space. He hoped they would live to report what they found. The unknown ship continued its approach, silent and mysterious, carrying secrets that would change the Empire forever. Captain Subin stood in the center of the bridge aboard the human vessel Indomitable. Around her, the crew worked quietly at their stations. The main display showed hundreds of alien ships moving to surround them. She had expected this reaction. Distance to the command station? She asked. Navigator Dongwu checked his instruments. 32 minutes at current speed, Captain. The alien ships are trying to form an intercept pattern, but they're too slow. Subin smiled. The aliens were using old-fashioned rocket engines and primitive hyperdrive technology. The Indomitable used something completely different. Humanity had discovered how to bend space itself, making their ship faster and more efficient than anything these aliens had ever built. Any response to our presence? Subin asked. Communications Officer Tae-Rim shook her head. They're sending messages on multiple frequencies. Standard mathematical sequences, prime numbers, that sort of thing. Basic first contact protocols. Are you responding? Not yet, Captain. As ordered, we're maintaining radio silence until we reach the optimal position. Subin nodded. The plan was simple but effective. Appear without warning, demonstrate superior technology, and then begin negotiations from a position of strength. Humanity had learned long ago that respect came through power, not politeness. She looked around at her crew. Each person on this ship had been carefully chosen. They were veterans of the Unification Wars, the brutal conflicts that had finally brought peace to Earth. They had fought against impossible odds and won. Today would be no different. Yejin, what's your assessment of their military formation? Weapons Officer Yejin studied her tactical display. She was known throughout the human fleet for her ability to find weaknesses in enemy formations. Predictable, Captain. They're using a standard encirclement pattern. Heavy ships in front, lighter vessels on the flanks. It's textbook strategy, but it has obvious flaws, such as, they're assuming we'll try to run. The formation is designed to prevent escape, not to maximize firepower. If we wanted to fight our way out, we could break through their lines in multiple places. Subin was pleased. The aliens were treating them like a normal threat. They had no idea what humanity was capable of. Dongwu looked up from his navigation station. Captain, we're being targeted by multiple weapon systems. They haven't fired yet, but they're clearly ready to. Understood. How many ships are we looking at? Over 400 in the immediate area. More arriving every minute. They're calling in everything they have. 400 ships against one. Most species would surrender immediately, but humanity was not most species. Subin walked to the center of the bridge and activated the ship's internal communication system. Attention, crew of the Indomitable. We are about to make first contact with an alien civilization. They have surrounded us with hundreds of ships. They probably think we should be afraid. She paused, letting her words sink in. They don't know us very well, do they? Quiet laughter came from the crew. These people had faced worse odds before and survived. We're not here to conquer, Subin continued. We're here to announce humanity's arrival in the galaxy. Today we show them who we are. Today we prove that humans don't ask permission to go where we choose. She closed the communication channel and returned to her command position. The main display showed the alien command station growing larger. Soon they would be close enough for visual contact. Yejin, prepare the gravity manipulators. I want a demonstration that will get their attention without starting a war. Understood, Captain. I have 3 targets selected. Light cruisers on our flanks. We can disable them without causing permanent damage. Do it. Yejin's hands moved over her controls. The Indomitable's most advanced weapon system came online. Instead of firing energy beams or missiles, the ship could create artificial gravity fields. These fields could pull enemy ships out of position, disable their engines, or crush their hulls if necessary. Gravity manipulators ready? Captain, fire. 3 invisible beams of twisted space-time reached out from the Indomitable. They struck the alien cruisers with perfect accuracy. Immediately, the enemy ships began spinning out of control. Their engines could not fight against the artificial gravity fields that now held them. The effect on the alien formation was immediate. Ships scattered in all directions, trying to avoid whatever weapon had just disabled their companions. Radio chatter increased dramatically as commanders tried to understand what had happened. Subin watched the chaos with satisfaction. That should get their attention. Tayrim, open a channel to the command station. Channel open, Captain. Subin took a deep breath. These were the first words humanity would speak to another intelligent species. They needed to be chosen carefully. Alien command station, this is Captain Subin of the human vessel Indomitable. We have disabled 3 of your ships to demonstrate our capabilities. They are not seriously damaged and can be easily repaired. She paused, letting the translation systems work. We are not your enemies, but we are not your subjects either. We come seeking knowledge and trade opportunities. However, we will defend ourselves if attacked. Do not mistake our peaceful intentions for weakness. The bridge fell silent as they waited for a response. This was the moment that would determine whether humanity's entry into the galaxy would be peaceful or violent. Finally, a reply came. The voice sounded nervous and uncertain. Human vessel, this is Admiral Kyomin of the Imperial Fleet. You have entered restricted space without authorization. Your weapons technology is unknown to us. What are your intentions? Subin smiled. The alien commander was trying to sound official, but she could hear the fear in his voice. Good. Fear would make him careful. Careful meant fewer mistakes. Our intentions are simple, Admiral. Humanity is ready to take its place among the star-traveling species. We offer friendship to those who treat us as equals. We offer destruction to those who treat us as enemies. The choice is yours. She gestured to Yejin, who released the gravity fields holding the 3 cruisers. The alien ships immediately regained control and moved to safer positions. We have returned your ships undamaged as a gesture of good faith, Subin continued. But do not test our restraint. We have come too far to be turned back by threats. The communication channel closed. Around the Indomitable, hundreds of alien warships waited uncertainly. Their commanders had expected to face raiders or rebels. Instead, they had encountered something completely new. Subin looked at her crew. Well done, everyone. We've announced humanity's arrival. Now we wait to see how they respond. Emperor Wusung sat on his throne in the Great Council Chamber, staring at the reports scattered before him. For the first time in his 40-year reign, he felt genuine fear. The unknown ship had appeared 12 hours ago, and everything about it challenged what the Empire believed about the galaxy. The chamber filled with his advisors and military commanders. Each face showed the same worry that gnawed at his stomach. General Myung-ho entered first, his uniform perfect as always, but his expression grim. Your Majesty, the general said with a bow, I've reviewed all available data on the alien vessel. My recommendation is immediate military action before they can summon reinforcements. Science advisor Insu hurried in behind the general, carrying data tablets and looking exhausted. She had been working non-stop since the ship's arrival, trying to understand their technology. Your Majesty, with respect, military action could be disastrous. These beings possess capabilities far beyond our current understanding. Emperor Wusung raised his hand for silence. The room fell quiet. He had called this emergency session because the situation required immediate decisions, but every choice seemed dangerous. Report, he commanded. General Myung-ho stepped forward. The alien ship disabled 3 of our cruisers without visible weapons fire. Our best analysis suggests they used some form of gravity manipulation technology. This is theoretically possible but far beyond our current abilities. How far beyond? The Emperor asked. Insu answered. Based on the energy readings, I estimate their technology is at least 300 years more advanced than ours. Possibly much more. They appear to have solved problems our scientists consider impossible. The Emperor felt his chest tighten. For 1,000 years, the Galactic Empire had maintained power through superior technology and military might. They had conquered species after species, always staying ahead through better weapons and faster ships. Now something had appeared that made their advantages meaningless. What do we know about these humans? He asked. Insu activated a holographic display showing the data they had collected. Very little, Your Majesty. Their ship design follows no known patterns. The materials in their hull don't match anything in our databases. Most disturbing. Their arrival method suggests they've mastered space-time manipulation. Meaning what, exactly? They didn't use hyperdrive technology to reach our system. They appear to have folded space itself, stepping directly from wherever they came from to here. If they can do this at will, our borders and defenses are meaningless. General Myung-ho crossed his arms. All the more reason to strike first. We have numerical superiority, 400 ships against 1. We should attack before they bring more vessels. And if we fail? Insu asked. If their defensive systems are as advanced as their propulsion, we might lose the entire fleet. Worse, we might provoke them into demonstrating their full capabilities. The Emperor stood from his throne and walked to the great windows overlooking the capital city. Millions of beings lived in the towers below. The Empire provided them with peace, prosperity, and protection. Now all of that might be ending. What did they say in their message? He asked. Admiral Kyomin's voice came through the communication system from the command station. Your Majesty, the human captain claimed they seek knowledge and trade. They offered friendship to those who treat them as equals, and destruction to those who treat them as enemies. Equals, the Emperor repeated. No species has been equal to the Empire for centuries. Perhaps that's changing, Your Majesty, Insu said quietly. The Emperor turned back to face his advisors. What exactly are you suggesting, Science Advisor? I'm suggesting that we might be dealing with a species that developed differently than any we've encountered before. Most civilizations we've absorbed were conquered by their neighbors or destroyed by internal conflicts. They were weak when we found them. She activated another display showing the Empire's expansion over the centuries. Every species we've encountered followed similar patterns. They reached space travel, had some wars, then settled into stable patterns. We've always been able to predict their capabilities and overcome them. And these humans are different? Their technology suggests a completely different developmental path. Look at their ship design. It's not built for comfort or efficiency. It's built for war. The hull can absorb and redirect energy attacks. The propulsion system allows instant movement across vast distances. These people didn't develop their technology during peacetime. General Myung-ho frowned. What are you implying? I'm implying that humanity might be a warrior species that never stopped fighting. Their advancement came through conflict, not conquest. They learned to build better weapons because they had to, not because they wanted to. The Emperor felt a chill run through him. The Empire had grown strong by absorbing peaceful civilizations and using their knowledge. They had never faced an enemy that was fundamentally designed for war. How is this possible? He asked. Insu brought up star charts showing the galaxy's spiral arms. We've always expanded into regions with multiple star systems close together. Easy to travel between, easy to control. But look at where this ship appeared. She pointed to an area on the edge of the galaxy. If they came from here, they developed in isolation. No neighbors to conquer or be conquered by. They would have had to fight among themselves for resources, territory, survival. It would have made them incredibly efficient at warfare. But also incredibly dangerous, General Myung-ho added. Exactly. We're not dealing with a species that learned to fight when necessary. We're dealing with a species that never learned to stop fighting. The Emperor returned to his throne, his mind racing through possibilities. Every option seemed to lead to disaster. Attack. And they might face technology that could destroy the entire Imperial fleet. Negotiate. And they might be acknowledging the end of Imperial dominance. Your Majesty, came Admiral Kyomin's voice again. The human ship is requesting permission to approach the planet. They say they have information to share that will help us understand their intentions. What kind of information? They didn't specify, but they've prepared some kind of data transmission. They claim it will explain who they are and what they want. The Emperor looked at his advisors. General Myung-ho shook his head, clearly opposed to any communication. In-soo nodded eagerly, her scientific curiosity overcoming her caution. Let them approach, the Emperor decided. But keep the fleet at maximum readiness. If this is some kind of trick, we'll be prepared. Yes, Your Majesty. The Emperor sat back in his throne, staring at the tactical display showing the lone human ship surrounded by hundreds of Imperial vessels. For 1,000 years, such odds would have meant certain victory for the Empire. Now he wasn't sure who had the advantage. In-soo, I want constant monitoring of their approach. Any sign of additional ships, any unusual energy readings, anything at all? Of course, Your Majesty. And General, prepare contingency plans. If negotiations fail, I want options that don't involve the complete destruction of our fleet. General Myung-ho bowed stiffly. I'll do what I can, Your Majesty, but if these humans are as dangerous as In-soo suggests, there might not be any safe options. The Emperor nodded grimly. The next few hours would determine the future of the Galactic Empire. Either they would find a way to coexist with these newcomers, or they would discover just how much the galaxy had changed. The Indomitable moved steadily toward the massive alien command station, surrounded by hundreds of enemy warships. Captain Subin watched the tactical display as the Imperial fleet maintained their threatening formation. They were nervous, uncertain, but not yet hostile. Captain, Communications Officer Tae-rim reported, the aliens are sending repeated requests for us to identify ourselves and explain our presence. Same message, multiple frequencies. Let them wait, Subin replied. Patience is a useful skill. They need to learn it. Navigator Dongwu looked up from his station. We're approaching the optimal transmission range, Captain. The data package is ready for broadcast. Subin nodded. The data package contained humanity's gift to the galaxy, their complete history. Not the sanitized version that diplomats usually shared, but the real story. Wars, conflicts, achievements, failures, and most importantly, the lessons learned from centuries of struggle. Yejin, status report on their weapon systems? Weapons Officer Yejin studied her displays. All ships have weapons locked on us, but no one has powered up for firing. They're cautious, smart. Good. Fear keeps people alive. Tae-rim, begin transmission of the data package. Full spectrum broadcast, all available channels. Beginning transmission now, Captain. The Indomitable sent out a massive burst of compressed information. Terabytes of human history, culture, science, and philosophy flooded the alien communication networks. It would take their computers hours to fully process everything. But they would understand the message immediately. Aboard the Imperial Command Station, Science Advisor In-soo watched as her computer struggled to decode the incoming data stream. The aliens weren't just identifying themselves. They were sharing their entire civilization. Admiral Kyomin, she called out, you need to see this. Admiral Kyomin hurried to her station. What are we looking at? Historical records, sir. Thousands of years of human history, wars, technological development, cultural evolution. It's all here. She activated a holographic display showing human timeline data. Look at this pattern. For their entire recorded history, humans have been fighting, not occasional conflicts, constant warfare. The timeline showed an unbroken chain of battles, wars, and military campaigns stretching back millennia. Tribal conflicts, religious wars, territorial disputes, technological races driven by military competition. This is impossible, Admiral Kyomin said. No species can maintain constant warfare for this long. They should have destroyed themselves. That's what makes them so dangerous, In-soo replied. They didn't destroy themselves. They learned from every conflict. Each war made them stronger, smarter, more efficient. The display shifted to show human technological development. Unlike the Empire's steady, predictable advancement, human progress came in sudden leaps. Each breakthrough was driven by military necessity. Nuclear weapons, space travel, computer technology, genetic engineering, all of it developed for warfare and then adapted for peaceful use. They've spent thousands of years learning how to kill each other more efficiently. Admiral Kyomin felt his throat go dry. And now they want to apply those lessons to the galaxy? Not necessarily, sir. Look at this. In-soo highlighted the final centuries of human history. The constant warfare had eventually led to global unification, not through conquest but through exhaustion. Humanity had finally grown tired of fighting themselves and learned to cooperate. The unification wars were their last major conflict. After that, they turned their attention to space exploration. But look at their space program. It's completely militarized. Even their exploration ships are built like warships. The linguistic analysis AI Dalnim suddenly activated. Analysis complete. I have successfully translated the human message accompanying the data transmission. Admiral Kyomin straightened. Let's hear it. Dalnim's synthetic voice filled the bridge. Message begins, we are humanity. We come from the third planet orbiting a yellow star at the edge of what you call the galaxy. For thousands of years, we fought each other for resources, territory, and survival. These conflicts taught us valuable lessons about warfare, technology, and cooperation. The message continued. We have unified our species and turned our attention to the stars. We seek knowledge, trade opportunities, and peaceful coexistence with other intelligent beings. However, our history has taught us that peace comes through strength, not weakness. Admiral Kyomin exchanged glances with Insu. The message was polite but contained an unmistakable threat. We do not seek conquest, but we will not be conquered. We do not desire war, but we are extremely good at it. We offer friendship to those who treat us with respect. We offer destruction to those who treat us as enemies. Choose wisely. The message ended, leaving the bridge in uncomfortable silence. Sir, Communications Specialist Jiho called out. I'm getting priority transmissions from Fleet Command. The Emperor wants an immediate briefing on the human message. Admiral Kyomin activated the secure communication channel. Your Majesty, we've received and analyzed the alien transmission. The data confirms our worst fears. Emperor Wu Sung's voice came through clearly despite the encryption. Explain. The humans are a warrior species, Your Majesty. Their entire civilization has been shaped by constant conflict. They've spent thousands of years perfecting the art of war. But they claim to want peace? Insu stepped forward. Your Majesty, their definition of peace might be different from ours. They appear to believe that conflict is inevitable, so they prepare for it constantly. Their peaceful intentions might simply mean they won't attack first. And if we attack them? Based on their history, Your Majesty, they would consider it a challenge to be met with overwhelming force. They've never lost a war in their recorded history. There was a long pause before the Emperor responded. What do you recommend, Admiral? Admiral Kyomin looked around the bridge at his crew. These were experienced officers who had served the Empire faithfully for decades. They had never faced an enemy like this. I recommend extreme caution, Your Majesty. The humans have demonstrated advanced technology and a willingness to use it. Their history suggests they're capable of tactical innovation under pressure. If we must fight them, we should be prepared for casualties far beyond normal estimates. And if we negotiate, then we're acknowledging that the Empire is no longer the dominant power in this region of space. Other species will take notice. Our authority might be permanently damaged. The Emperor's sigh was audible over the communication channel. Bring them to the capital, Admiral. I'll speak with their captain directly. But keep the fleet ready for combat. If this is some elaborate deception, we'll respond accordingly. Admiral Kyomin closed the channel and looked at his officers. You heard the Emperor. Prepare an escort formation for the human ship. Maximum weapons readiness, but no hostile actions without direct orders. As the Imperial ships moved into position around the Indomitable, Admiral Kyomin wondered if he was escorting a potential ally or shepherding the Empire's greatest enemy directly to their most important world. The human ship continued its steady approach, silent and mysterious, carrying the representatives of a species that had never learned to surrender. General Myung-ho stood in the Tactical Command Center, watching displays that showed the human ship approaching the capital world. 3 days had passed since first contact, and the Empire's leadership remained divided on how to handle these newcomers. War Champion, he said to the figure beside him, I need to know what we're truly facing. War Champion So Young nodded. She was the Empire's most decorated combat veteran, undefeated in over 200 battles. Her strategic mind had broken rebel fleets and conquered entire star systems. If anyone could measure the human threat, it would be her. You want me to test their capabilities, she said. Officially, it will be called a tactical assessment exercise. Unofficially, I need to know if they're as dangerous as their history suggests. So Young studied the tactical displays. The lone human ship sat surrounded by hundreds of Imperial vessels, yet somehow it didn't seem outnumbered. There was something about its positioning, its energy signatures that suggested complete confidence. What are my orders if they prove hostile? Disable if possible, destroy if necessary, but learn everything you can first. The Empire's survival might depend on understanding their weaknesses. So Young gathered her fleet commanders in the briefing room. These were experienced officers who had fought alongside her in dozens of campaigns. They trusted her judgment completely. "We're going to conduct a combat assessment of the alien vessel," she announced. "This is not an attack, it's a test. We need to understand their capabilities, their tactics, and their limitations." Commander Jae-hoon raised his hand. "War Champion, our intelligence reports suggest their technology is significantly advanced. Shouldn't we approach with maximum caution?" "Caution is wise, but fear is dangerous," So-young replied. "We'll use standard battle formations and conventional tactics. If they're truly superior, they'll have opportunities to demonstrate it without killing anyone." She activated the holographic battle display. "We'll use a modified encirclement pattern. Heavy cruisers will approach from multiple vectors while lighter ships provide supporting fire. If they attempt to break out, we'll let them. If they stand and fight, we'll escalate gradually." The fleet commanders nodded their understanding. This was familiar territory. They had conducted similar assessments against rebels and pirates countless times. Aboard the Indomitable, Captain Subin watched the Imperial ships forming attack formations around her vessel. The patterns were textbook examples of conventional space warfare, effective against normal opponents, but predictable. "They're finally making their move," she observed. Weapons Officer Ye Jin studied the enemy formations with professional interest. "Classic encirclement tactics, Captain. They're planning to box us in and force a surrender. What do you think of their approach? Competent but unimaginative. They're treating us like a conventional threat. It shows they don't really understand what they're facing." Navigator Dongwu looked up from his station. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the lead Imperial ship." "Put it through." War Champion So-young's voice filled the bridge. "Human vessel, this is War Champion So-young of the Imperial Fleet. You are ordered to submit to a tactical inspection for security purposes. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded." Subin smiled. The alien commander was trying to establish dominance through traditional displays of force. It was exactly what she had expected. "War Champion So-young, this is Captain Subin. We decline your inspection. Our vessel is not subject to Imperial authority. You are outnumbered 300 to 1, Captain. Resistance is pointless, is it? Yejin, show them what pointless looks like." Yejin's hands moved over her controls. The Indomitable's gravity manipulators locked onto 3 Imperial cruisers simultaneously. Unlike the gentle demonstration 3 days earlier, this time she used full power. The targeted ships suddenly found themselves pulled in different directions by artificial gravity fields. Their engines fought against forces that defied physics. Within seconds, all 3 vessels were spinning helplessly, their crews pressed against bulkheads by acceleration forces. But Ye-jin wasn't finished. She activated the ship's energy redirection system. When the Imperial fleet opened fire, their energy beams struck the Indomitable's hull and simply disappeared. Instead of destroying the human ship, their weapons fire was absorbed and stored. "Impossible." War Champion So-young whispered as she watched her fleet's attacks prove completely ineffective. Ye-jin released the stored energy in a controlled burst. Brilliant beams of light struck 6 more Imperial ships, not to destroy them, but to overload their shield systems. The vessels found themselves defenseless. "Floating dead in space, Captain," So-young transmitted, her voice now showing concern. "Your defensive capabilities are impressive, but you cannot fight our entire fleet." "Can't we?" Dongwu evasive maneuvers, Pattern 7. The Indomitable began to move in ways that violated everything the Imperial commanders understood about space combat. Instead of following predictable flight paths, it seemed to teleport from position to position. One moment it was surrounded by enemy ships, the next it was attacking their rear formations. War Champion So-young watched in growing alarm as her carefully planned battle formation fell apart. The human ship moved through her lines like they didn't exist, striking targets at will and vanishing before return fire could be coordinated. "All ships, converge on the alien vessel," she ordered. "Maximum firepower, all weapons." 300 ships opened fire simultaneously. The space around the Indomitable filled with energy beams, missile trails, and explosive charges. For a moment it seemed impossible that anything could survive such concentrated destruction. Then the smoke cleared, and the human ship hung undamaged in the middle of the battlefield. "How?" Commander Jae-hoon asked in amazement. Ye-jin provided the answer by demonstrating the Indomitable's most advanced defensive system. The ship's hull began to shimmer and shift, creating multiple false images. Suddenly, there appeared to be dozens of human vessels where only one had existed moments before. The Imperial fleet found itself firing at illusions, while the real target moved freely among them. Ship after ship found its weapon systems disabled by gravity manipulation, or its shields overloaded by redirected energy. War Champion. So Young realized with growing horror that her fleet wasn't fighting a battle. They were participating in a demonstration. The humans were systematically disabling Imperial ships without destroying any of them. They could have wiped out the entire force but chose restraint instead. "All ships, cease fire," she commanded. "Stand down immediately." The battle stopped as suddenly as it had begun. Imperial vessels hung powerless throughout the combat zone, while the Indomitable moved to a position directly in front of So Young's flagship. Captain Subin's voice came through the communication system, calm and professional. "War Champion So Young, your fleet performed admirably. Your tactics were sound and your crews showed courage. However, you were testing technologies and strategies that are several centuries beyond your current understanding. What are your terms?" So Young asked, accepting defeat. "No terms. We will restore power to your ships and repair any damage we caused. Consider this a lesson in the futility of aggression against humanity." Over the next hour, the Indomitable moved from ship to ship, using its advanced systems to repair the damage inflicted during the battle. Imperial crews watched in amazement as their disabled vessels were restored to full functionality. War Champion So Young sat in her command chair, staring at the tactical display. Her undefeated record was broken, but strangely she felt no shame. She had been beaten by a superior force that had shown mercy when it could have shown destruction. "General Myung-ho," she transmitted to command, "I have completed the tactical assessment. Report. Recommendation. Do not engage the humans in combat under any circumstances. Their technological advantages make conventional warfare impossible. However, they appear to prefer restraint over destruction. This suggests negotiation might be possible." There was a long pause before General Myung-ho responded. "Understood, War Champion. Return to base for full debriefing." As the Imperial fleet limped back to safety, Captain Subin looked at her crew with pride. They had faced overwhelming odds and emerged victorious without taking a single life. It was exactly the kind of battle humanity excelled at, one where victory came through superiority rather than savagery. Emperor Wu Sung walked slowly through the corridors of his palace, his mind heavy with the weight of impossible decisions. The human ship had arrived at the capital world 3 hours ago, and everything about their presence challenged 1,000 years of imperial dominance. The throne room had been prepared for the most important meeting in galactic history. Representatives from across the empire waited nervously, as their ruler prepared to face beings whose technology made them effectively invincible. Captain Subin entered the massive chamber, flanked by 2 of her officers. She wore a simple blue uniform that bore no resemblance to the elaborate ceremonial dress common among imperial diplomats. Her expression was calm, confident, but not arrogant. Emperor Wu Sung studied her carefully. This was the person who commanded technology that could destroy his entire civilization, yet she appeared completely ordinary. No obvious enhancements, no exotic equipment, just a human being who happened to represent the most advanced species the galaxy had ever encountered. "Captain Subin," the Emperor said formally, "welcome to SciFiPrime. I am Emperor Wu Sung of the Galactic Empire." Subin bowed respectfully. "Your Majesty, I am honored to meet you. I am Captain Subin of the Earth Alliance vessel Indomitable. With me are Navigator Dongwu and Weapons Officer Ye Jin." The Emperor gestured toward the conference table that had been prepared. "Please be seated. We have much to discuss." As they took their positions, Admiral Kyo Min entered the chamber. He had requested permission to attend these negotiations, partly from curiosity and partly from a growing respect for the human crew. "Admiral," Subin acknowledged him with a nod. "I hope your damaged ships have been fully repaired." "They have, Captain. Your assistance was unexpected," Subin smiled. "Humanity has learned that making enemies is easy. Making friends requires more effort but provides better results." Emperor Wu Sung leaned forward. "Captain, let us speak plainly. Your technology is far superior to ours. Your ship alone could probably destroy our entire fleet. Why haven't you simply conquered us?" "Because conquest was never our goal, Your Majesty. Earth spent thousands of years learning that military victory without political cooperation leads to endless cycles of rebellion and revenge. We prefer partnerships. What kind of partnership could possibly exist between our civilizations? You clearly possess overwhelming advantages. Subin activated a small holographic projector. The display showed star charts of the galaxy, with human and imperial territories marked in different colors. Your Majesty, you control over 10,000 star systems. We control one. You have billions of citizens across hundreds of different species. We have 8 billion humans on a single world. Yes, our technology is more advanced, but your civilization is vastly larger and more established. She highlighted different regions of the galaxy. More importantly, you've had 1,000 years to learn about galactic politics, trade relationships, and cultural exchange. We're complete newcomers. We need guides, teachers, and allies. Emperor Wusung frowned. What exactly are you proposing? A federation, Your Majesty. Not an empire ruled by one species, but a cooperative alliance where each member contributes their strengths. Humanity offers advanced technology and military protection. The empire offers political experience, established trade networks, and cultural knowledge. Admiral Kyomin spoke up. Captain, such an arrangement has never been attempted before. The empire has always maintained order through central authority. And it worked well for 1,000 years. Subin agreed. But the galaxy is changing. Humanity's arrival proves that isolated civilizations can develop technologies you never imagined. How many other species might be out there, beyond your current borders, advancing in ways you don't expect? Navigator Dongwu activated his own display. We've conducted long-range surveys during our journey here. There are at least 12 civilizations in this galaxy that have achieved space travel, but remain unknown to the Empire. Some of them might be as advanced as we are. The Emperor felt a chill run through him. The idea that other species might possess technology comparable to the humans was terrifying. You're suggesting the Empire faces threats we don't even know about? We're suggesting the galaxy is much larger and more dangerous than you realized, Subin replied. Facing those challenges alone would be difficult even for us. Facing them together gives us all a much better chance of survival. Weapons Officer Ye Jin leaned forward. Your Majesty, our analysis of Imperial military tactics shows competent leadership and well-trained crews. Your disadvantage isn't lack of skill, it's lack of innovation. You've become comfortable with your dominance. And humanity hasn't? Humanity has never been dominant, Your Majesty. We've always been fighting for survival against stronger opponents. It taught us to innovate constantly, to find advantages wherever possible. That's what made our technology so advanced. Emperor Wusung stood and walked to the great windows overlooking his capital city. Millions of beings lived and worked in the towers below, depending on imperial protection and prosperity. The decision he made today would affect all their lives. Captain, assume I agree to this Federation concept. How would it actually work? Subin joined him at the window. Each member species maintains internal autonomy, while contributing to collective defense and shared projects. Humanity would provide technological upgrades and military support. The Empire would provide governmental structure and diplomatic experience. And leadership? Shared leadership based on expertise rather than military power. The Empire has experience governing large populations. That makes you natural administrators. Humanity has experience with warfare and exploration. That makes us natural defenders and scouts. Admiral Kyomin approached them. Captain, what about species that refuse to join this federation? The same thing that happens now when species refuse to join the Empire, Admiral. Nothing unless they become aggressive toward Federation members. We're not interested in forcing anyone to cooperate. The Emperor turned back to face Subin. And if this Federation encounters threats beyond our combined abilities, then we learn, adapt, and become stronger. That's what humanity has always done. That's what successful civilizations do. There was a long silence as Emperor Wusung considered the proposal. Everything about it challenged traditional imperial thinking. But the alternative seemed far worse. Captain, I need to consult with my advisors before making such a momentous decision. Of course, Your Majesty. Take all the time you need. But while you're considering, perhaps Admiral Kyomin would like to tour our ship. We're happy to demonstrate the technologies we're offering to share. Admiral Kyomin looked at the Emperor, who nodded approval. I would be honored, Captain. As they prepared to leave for the Indomitable, Subin turned back to the Emperor. Your Majesty, I want to be completely honest with you. Humanity didn't come here seeking conquest, but we also didn't come seeking permission. We're going to explore this galaxy and establish relationships with other species. The question is whether we do it as your allies or as your competitors." The Emperor met her gaze steadily. "Captain, I appreciate your honesty. I hope we can find a path that serves both our peoples." 3 days later, Emperor Wu Sung stood again in his throne room, but this time the atmosphere was different. The fear and uncertainty had been replaced by cautious optimism. "The Imperial Council has reached a decision," he announced to the assembled representatives. "We accept humanity's proposal for a galactic federation. Let this mark the beginning of a new era of cooperation between our civilizations." Captain Subin smiled and extended her hand to the Emperor. "To a future built on partnership rather than dominance." As they shook hands, Admiral Kyomin watched from nearby. In a few weeks, he would be joining Captain Subin on a joint exploration mission to regions of space that neither humans nor Imperial forces had ever visited. The galaxy had suddenly become a much larger and more interesting place. The age of Imperial dominance was ending, but something far more promising was beginning. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy. They had invited it to grow.